welcome back. I'm David Sailors.
I'm Dania Sphere, and this is Country Swing 101 for free.
Today we're going to be going over whips, the two variations that you might see in country swing. Really the only difference is the footwork and the counts or the timing. So we're going to be going over the two types. The first one, which is more of a redirection and a step through.
The second one is going to be using more stretch and space, and we use a coaster step in that variation.
Yes, so let's get into it. All right, we're going to pop right into this with the closed whip. This is really the only version of a closed whip that feels really correct in country swing because we both get that kind of moving around each other vibe, and I don't have to stand in place the whole time. So that looks a little bit like this. Okay, so to get into this, we're simply going to redirect before the rock step, just like we did in the circular basics video. So we rock back, and I'm going to go 1, ask for my follows connection here. 2, I'm going to connect onto the back. We're going to get stretch away from each other. So there should be a stretch here. I should be creating a connection point right now because I progressed forward. Now my follower's not going to want to take another step backwards. This foot's going to stick. Now I'm going to step across and bring her right back up on that foot for 3, step across for 4, and then to exit this, I'm going to do it just like a closed basic. So I'm going to step in and rock back, and then exit out into my regular basic. So that will look like this full speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So 5 steps, just like our extended basics. For now, we're doing them all with slows, but you can increase this to a quick, and then all slows. That would look like this.
For the follows, it's really important that you find stretch in the hand. And so I'm going to talk about that for a minute. We take our first step, right foot. On 2, we have this connection point, and leads. It's really important that you find it early so I don't keep going down line. I'm being stopped on my left foot as I turn around. And again, there's no space in this hand for me to actually take another step. I would then be breaking my leads frame and mine as well. And what I'm going to do, even though I'm not taking another step, is find stretch in the hand. And so I'm going to do that first by getting my head all the way over my foot. I should be able to stand on that left foot. And then 2, I need to make sure my belly button is to my spine, my core is engaged, so I'm taking my entire spine and my body weight back. And then the third thing I'm going to do is rotate slightly into the hand. And so I'm taking my rib cage and I'm expanding it into David's hand. So I'm really just filling every space that's available to me without taking that third step.
Leaders, let's zoom in on the footwork here really quick. I'll do it by myself. So we rock back. I'm going to step out at an angle that I normally take for my behind the back, but I'm not going to face away. Now I'm going to ask for the hand, and I'm going to curve my step in front. I want to not step here and have it behind me where I break my frame. My body will follow where my toes point. So I'm going to step across here, catch the connection with my follow, step across, pivot, and rock back. This should also cut us an angle just like country swing does. So seeing that here from this angle, I'll do it from here. We rock back, and I'm going to go 1 out to the side, 2 across and in place. This should give me expansion in the chest, being able to get sideways here to get stretch, stepping across and stepping in with my body, letting my hip come back. If you want to zoom in on the foot action here, where when I step in, my hip goes back. We talked about that in our closed basics video. Go take a look at that. And then I simply 1, 2, 3 back into the basics.
Okay, follows, we're going to do our footwork by ourselves. So right here, I'm going to go 1. I'm going to pivot for 2, filling space in the hand, coming back up onto that right foot, 2 straight legs here. Back up onto that right foot for 3. Now I'm going to be rotating for 4, 5. At this point, I'm going to be setting up for my inside turn. 6, 7, 8 is a finishing basic.
Hand on the Bible. The second one is the behind the back whip. So this one's going to start just like the typical lasso, but we're going to get a little bit more stretch and take it out right away instead of circling circular.
Circling.
That one. I'm not going to cut that. I'm a human. So here we go. It's going to look like this. We rock back and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Let's take a closer look. We rock back. I'm going to take my first step out to the side. My second step, I'm going to come over the top with my hand and get a reverse grip like this. So I can attach this to my hip on 2, and I can stretch into the connection here. Follows, you're going to be able to step out with that left foot and stretch into your rib cage away from your leader as he's getting forward, asking for the hand. And then we're simply going to back up as our follow comes forward and finds us. This isn't a slotted or linear move because nothing in country swing is like really truly slotted. Essentially, I'm going to bring this hand forward, and at the posting step, which is right before our rock step, we're simply going to square up and rock away from each other, which will create an angle. So if we look at that again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to have this angle here. 5, bringing us back into our basic.
Talk about our footwork on this and how we use our frame. It is really similar to the other movements we talked about, just seeing how much space you have, but I'm just going to talk about it again. So we rock back. My footwork is step 1, step 2. At this point, I've run out of space. I can tell because if I go any further, I'm going to break my frame. I'm going to find stretch, like David said, opposing my lead into my rib cage to the left. I'm in my left foot. My third step is going to be through with that right. At this point, we have our rotation, posting step, and our rock.
So let's take a look at that full speed.
Again, follows, your goal is to always find your lead. If at any point you get let go and there's a rotation or maybe there's a slip of the hand, always make sure that you find your lead, post 1 step before you rock, and then finish when you're connected.
Leaders, I want to talk about your footwork here because it's a little bit less than normal. So I start off with 1 and 2 getting sideways, but then 3 is going to redirect me here, kind of at a backwards angle. It's going to be the same mirrored version of what my follow does. A lot of country swing footwork in semi-basic movements are mirrored. So I'm going to step back like this as my follow comes forward. I'm going to step up and meet my follow at the post and then rock back. So the last 3 steps are kind of in this same area. So it looks like this. We rock back and I step out, connect and stretch, come back a little bit, forward in place so I can stay square with my follow. I don't want to be falling away and get too much space. I'm going to be forward, and then I can rock back and rotate and create my angle.
We talk about the posting step in most of our videos because we think it's the most important step in country swing. And so leads, make sure that you aren't finishing your rock before your follow's done. Follows, make sure you're finding your lead and then only rocking at the same time once you're square with your partner.
Hand on the Bible.
To the third one of these, which is the leader basket whip. So this one, very similar to the leader basket lasso or the leader cuddle lasso, except for we're not going to fully stick ourselves into the cuddle. We're going to be a little bit more extended so we can get stretched. So that looks like this. So the way that this one works is I'm being aware that my follow faces her frame. So I don't want to break my frame and get her so extended around that she wants to step back. What I mean is I don't want to step out and then break my frame like this, giving her space to seek with a right foot or anything like that. I just want to keep my frame as I step through. 1, 2. This hand is essentially doing the same thing that it was here in this lasso whip. And this hand here is helping get a little bit more connection in front. Again, I'm not across me broken. My hand is here. I have a nice circular frame. And then I'm stepping back, bringing the hand down so I can post with it, and then doing the basic. This is really the same exact thing as the last whip, except for on this one, the lead hand is going to be my left hand, not my right. And then it switches to my right on the post. So let's take a look at that again. I rock step. My left hand is where the connection is here. And then right at this posting step, now my right hand becomes the connection. And then I'm going to rock back. Follow, sorry to say, it's the exact same thing that we did in the last ones, which is just having good frame and using that exact same footwork. For us leaders, the footwork, again, exactly the same, except for maybe a little bit difference in the angle, because I'm not going to be able to get sideways. I'm going to be a little bit more facing this way, so it feels a little bit more like a step forward and then step backwards. So that would look like this if I have this angle, so you can see. We rock back, I step out, forward, I get the stretch here as this hand's coming over. I'm taking a nice breath in this side so I can give her room. And then I'm going to step backwards, post in place. I want to make sure I'm not stepping too far back to where we're going to be overextended on this rock. I step in place and then we rock backwards and go.
Hand on the Bible, I'm a decent man. No, I ain't perfect.
We're going to talk about the fourth and final one of these, which is the overhead whip. This is similar to the tomahawk or the lasso whip, but again, we're using spacing and connection here to make sure we get a redirection. So that would look like this. There's a couple different things you can do with the hands there. I just went to what's most natural, which is changing hands. So when we get into this, we're going to rock back and take our first two steps like normal. But instead of coming over the top to connect, I'm going to come underneath to the wrist here. So I can have this kind of a connection here with my thumb and my finger around the wrist pulling out. I step 1, 2, and as I do, I make sure I don't open this door up really wide to where she wants to take a step back. I keep this connection here on my shoulder and I let it be stretched this way. So I can get stretch on my right foot with my body, so my follow can get stretch on her left. And then I'm going to take it over my head to bring her forward. At this point, I'm simply going to drop the hand down as we take one last step together to post, and then we're going to rock back. From here, I can simply do a right-handed inside turn and back into my basics if I wish.
Same exact thing follows. Leads, it's really going to be kind of up to you to lead this without opening the door too much hand back or expansion, so I don't take a coaster there, which we're going to talk about later. I really just want to take 1, 2 step through, which means I just need that tight connection in the hand.
Let's look at the footwork again. It should be exactly the same as the other ones. I'm going to step out,
1,
forward. Now
2.
This one, because I'm here, I want to get my chest forward for this stretch right here, get a nice stretch away from my follow,
3.
and then step back and trade places. Now I'm simply going to bring the hand down as we step together. My follow finds me.
4.
And then we rock away, again, making
5.
sure to use some rotation here, rotating the chest into the basics.
Hand on the Bible.
All right, now we're going to get into the more complicated coaster step or triple step whips that we do. Now, in the most common bass rhythms of country swing, we don't naturally have a triple step, at least definitely not during the rock step. So what we're going to have to do is create that with acceleration and spacing. So the first thing is a coaster step in this would be a quick, quick, slow. Since we dance in quicks, we're going to have to accelerate our follow somehow. Now, there's a couple different ways that we can do that. I can accelerate her by shaping. So I could go slow, slow, shape for the quicks. That's fine if I have 2 hands. Really hard to do if you have 1. The other thing I can do is create a compression. So I could go 1, 2, quick, quick, slow. But being a stretch dance and creating compression on the way across is really hard. So what I tend to do is use a hitching action in the front to create quicks. So we just already have them, and then give space for a 4th step. So normally we would do 1, 2, 3, but I'm going to give my follow a little bit more space to develop a 4th step and create some stretch. That'll create that coaster for us. I'm also going to get the syncopation by starting with quicks. So we'll rock back and I'll hitch, quick, 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 slow, asking for a high 5. From here, this is essentially just every outside turn we do in country swing. Slow, quick, quick, slow, slow. So again, With these, you're not really going to get away from the syncopation in these. You could do them with slows, but it's really not going to feel the same. And we have other whips to use with the slower footwork. So these are for more fast, really, really stretchy, getting around each other movements. So full speed, one would look like this. Quick, 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 slow, quick, quick, slow, slow. I interact with the back end exactly like we do with an outside turn. I create a compression and then I walk through. So let's break down bit by bit the basic one-handed whip.
So just like the last whips we did, all of these are going to have the same principle. The footwork is going to be pretty much exactly the same, maybe with the exception of the exit, but getting into it and the coaster step is all going to be identical. You're going to get more space in the connection with these whips. So you are going to have space to now take a triple or a coaster step. Just know that it's going to be the same thing with all of them. You always want to keep your frame, and the coaster step is going to look like this. Like David said, it's going to be a quick, quick, slow. And once we do this, we're going to start on our right. We're going to go quick back with the right foot, come together with the left for our second quick, and then we're going to strike for slow. Now that's really important that it's a strike and not a shift forward, because we need to communicate stretch with our lead. But it's still going to be counted as a slow, but the strike is going to be counted. When we actually shift our weight onto the foot, we're going to call it an and. And so it's going to look like this. We're going to go quick, quick, slow, and.
In this movement, there's also quite a bit of circular rotational hip action happening, to where normally when we rock back, we're going to have a rotation in the hip. We're going to take that and redirect it around and out.
I like to think of this kind of like a hula hoop action. That's one way to think of it. If you are maybe have the access to isolate your body in that way, or you can just think about paneling or pulling back one side to communicate what foot you're in. And so if I'm taking a step back for a quick, I'm in my right side right now, and so I'm going to rotate my entire body, pulling back this right shoulder. I'm then going to come square for my second quick. I'm not in any foot yet. I'm split weight on both feet. And then once I strike my right, I'm going to pull back my left side because I'm in my left foot, right? Because we haven't shifted weight onto the right yet. And so it's going to look like pull back and pull back. Notice how my fists have this like slicing action.
Here's what our footwork and frame is going to look like. I'm going to start with a hitching action. So all this is our basic stretch and then a little bit more. So all I'm doing is taking the rest of my body. That's usually when we rock, we have a center, some body over here, some body over there. And I'm going to take a little bit more of that body with me. And it's going to give just a little bit more of a swing action. As long as I make sure I don't pitch while I do this, I stay up. That would look like this. Stretch, hitch. It's just a little bit, we just need a little bit more stretch and action. I also use a little bit more opening the door here, like this rotation, because when my follow comes around, I want her to get around to face me really quick so she has access to that backward step. So I rock back, I get a little bit more stretch, we go quick, quick. I make sure to face my follow here with my frame so I can get her around. I step across, and then I'm actually going to step underneath of myself, but this rotation right here, I'm going to give her enough space to take that fourth step, and then I'm going to step back out of the way to get compression, and then I'm going to step forward, 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 and rock back for my typical outside turn technique. What's really important here is when I do this, let me show you from this angle. We go 1, 2, 3. On our fourth step, I want to make sure my connection goes across here. I don't want to give more room on this side over here, making my follow either have to fall past her foot and cross or really like absorb with a lot of stretch. I want to get this pushed across my follow. So as I'm taking my fourth step, I'm opening up and going across. I should feel the connection diagonal, and then we come back together and I push in.
So follows this coaster step action, or this quick, quick, slow, is going to happen on the third step of all these movements that we're going to do. So it's going to look like this. We're going to go 1, 2. Third step is going to be 3, 4, 5, and.
I'm going to use that coaster step action that I'm giving my follow to replace a rock step and send my follow back around. It's another form of a redirection. It's just a little bit fancier footwork. All right, now let's do this one with the full speed and the rhythm. Slow, 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 quick, 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 slow, quick, quick, slow, 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 slow. So on that first one that we were talking about with the one-handed whip, I'm simply going to use just a basic outside turn. In this next one, I'm going to have two hands. So it's going to be a two-handed whip. Now I have the option to start with slows because I can shape my follow into the quicks, but for consistency, we're going to do them with quicks still. So it's going to look like this. I still want this move to rotate around the floor. So again, I'm pushing across the pattern to get a more squareness with my follow where I can send her out at an angle. You need both hands. You can either grab it here or grab it here. I'll show both versions. I just prefer the more down version. We rock back, and I'm going to go quick, quick, quick. Here, I'm going to rotate my rib cage around to bring my follow forward for the quick, quick, and slow. And now I'm going to lift this up and quick, slow, and slow. Outside turn variation is more of a outside roll where I have my right hand and I just create a rolling. It will seem more like a inside turn because the hand comes inside, but again, in country swing, when the follow's right shoulder is rotating back, we're going to call that the outside turn, and when the left shoulder is rotating back, we're going to call that an inside turn. What we're doing with our hands here, to be a little bit more specific, is we're starting wide, and then we're going to pass the ball off. So we start wide, and then we get a little bit linear out to our side. We take it across, and then we open back up circular. So if I can give you that view from here, quick, 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 slow, quick, quick, slow, slow, inside turn. Okay, let's do that full speed with the rhythm. Slow, 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 hitch, quick, 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 slow, quick, quick, slow, slow, inside turn.
Hand on the Bible, I'm a decent man. No, I ain't perfect, but I'm learning how to be.
Is going to be the blind man's whip. It's similar to the behind the back whip, but I'm going to do a different action with the hand. So first, I'll show you that action. Same intro as the last one. We're going to hitch and create an acceleration, but I'm going to come underneath with my hand into the connection here and let this open the door and get to my back. Now with my footwork, I'm going to come forward and slowly circle around. I'm going to have to do a quick, quick, slow in a little arc right here. I can't just fall straight back. I have access to walk right back, but I'm not going to do that. I need to oppose as she does her rounded triple back here. Quick, 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 slow, quick, quick, slow, slow, inside turn. So same principle. I round the motion with her, and then I push across the pattern to turn her with my body and movement rather than my hand. So let's do the steps and the hands a little bit slower. We rock back. We are going to hitch, quick, quick, quick. This one's going to be backwards because I'm starting to round the corner, but I'm still pushing this way. Quick, I get my nice stretch, and I ask for the other hand. Now, slow happens. I'm starting to transfer the stretch to this hand so she can have counter over there. And then as my follow comes forward, I'm going to accelerate her by pulsing up and walking across. Quick, quick, slow, slow, inside turn. So let's take a look at that with the full speed and the rhythm. Quick, 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 slow, quick, quick, slow, slow, inside.
on the Bible.
Next, going to be the lasso whip, or the tomahawk whip, or the overhead whip, similar to the other ones that we did. I'm going to get into it that exact same way. I'm going to come underneath. As I come through, I'm going to come underneath here for the connection. But this time, instead of being here, asking both of us to face this direction, which will make that foot come in, I'm going to be facing forward as I step, and I'm going to open the window here so my follow can step through. I don't want to shove this hand really far to the side. If I turn here, I don't want to shove this hand really far to the side. It's simply going to go a little bit, probably from my center out to my shoulder, and then I'm going to orbit with my hand as it comes back forward. So if I do it facing the camera, it looks like this. Quick, 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 slow. Quick, quick, slow, slow, and an inside turn.
Follows, I'm going to reiterate this. As we do that triple back there, you want to make sure that you're slow when you come forward on that right foot is just a strike, because you want to communicate what foot you're in with stretch. We are a stretch dance. And so if we do it from this angle right here, I'm going to go step, step, and now I do my coaster. I'm going to pull back and back. I'm still trying to give signal to my lead that I'm weighted back in my left foot. Once he leads me forward onto the right, I'm going to call this and then we can start quick, quick, slow, rock slow. So make sure when you're doing that coaster step back there, you're really pulling back, then back. I like to think about pulling back a bow and arrow on my right, then my left.
Leaders for spacing. We're not going to come back again too soon. I need to spin some time forward so we can get stretch. So we go quick, quick. I'm forward with another quick. Now she's starting her triple. I'm going to quick, and then finally step back with a slow. As we trade places, she comes forward. I go back, and that initiates us into the rotation. One thing I want to be careful of is that I'm giving her enough space, not by breaking my arm like this or like this, but by expanding my chest and opening my frame to get this tomahawk throwing look. So if I look at the camera while I do that, we can see the action with the chest. Quick, 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 slow. Quick, quick, slow, slow. Be careful on the out of this when we're coming out. Other foot, please, darling. When we're here, I don't need to look at my follow and do this big turn. As she comes forward, she will face her frame. I simply need to step out and push through the motion to turn her. So full speed, that looks like this. Slow, 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 quick, 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 slow, quick, quick, slow, 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 slow.
Hand on the Bible.
All right, now we have our fifth whip with the coaster step. So that's going to look like this. I'm going to do a basic and switch hands. And now that I have a right-handed grip, so I have a right to right, I'm going to ask for the other hand underneath. Quick, 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 slow, quick, quick, slow, slow. From here, I can go back to basics with one hand, or I can do a two-handed push. This gives us just a whip to do when we get to our right to right hand hold, which we get to often. It doesn't matter if you're holding here or here, either one is fine. This one feels a little bit better. But essentially, we're rocking back into the beginning parts of a basic with a right on right hand hold. I'm going to ask for the hand underneath and step out, and I'm going to stay a little bit more square. Because this hand's on this side of the body, I don't quite need to rotate so far to give her space. My hand simply opening up will give her a little bit of space. So we go quick, quick. My hand opens up with my frame. I'm still facing this way. I give her some space. I make sure not to give her too much. I step across with my left hand, my left foot. My hand gives her some space. And then here, I'm doing a reverse version of what we did with these two hands. I'm letting this side go first, and then I'm pulling back my right side here, which will pull this side forward and give her space over there. And then I'm simply bringing her forward, getting a high five with a cross hand, and turning, coming down. From here, we can go two-handed turn and an outside push, or whatever variation we want. So the footwork for this leads looks like this. We stretch back with the right hand. Quick, quick, step across, open up, step back, forward, 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 and back. Pretty much the exact same footwork as the one-handed whip because we're working with some of those same mechanics.
Footwork is exactly the same for follows, but I do want to make a note here for both lead and follow. Once we get into after 2 of this movement, our second step, right here, we want to have some tension built up. Like David said, we don't want to have any, we don't want to be taking space away from the follow, getting her out of her frame. We don't want to give too much space, so I feel like I don't have anything to connect to. I want to have a shared center here, some sort of post that we are able to stretch from. And so right here, I'm using my frame to connect. And if I were to let go, there's a little bit, you see we have some give. We want to make sure that we're connected in the center of this movement. There's some tension built up.
Nice. My body pushing across opens up the space for her here. And then when I rotate my right shoulder back and my left shoulder forward, that gives us this pulling a bow and arrow back. It's essentially this. That's why we call it a bow and arrow whip.
What I'm doing is absorbing slack in this connection. So even though my lead's giving this hand to me, I'm not just letting it go and be limp. I'm absorbing the slack by pulling back my left side, making sure we stay taut in the connection at all times.
From here, this is simply a right-handed outside turn led with my right hand. Or if you would like to, let's turn to the other direction. I can lead it like a outside roll with the left hand, but it's a little bit easier with the outside turn hand, with the right hand up top.
Hand on the Bible, I'm a decent man.
All right, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. That was our big old video about whips. Just remember, they are the same overarching concept, but 2 completely different ways to approach them. Some people may teach one, some people may teach the other. We like to teach both to different levels of dancers. So don't be afraid to do either one. It really just comes down to how we lead it.
Thank you guys for continuing to support us and watch and share these videos with your friends. We love making them for you guys. And I guess we'll see you in the next one.
Stop on by again. Bye.